say it like it's a bad thing.
Shut up, Carl!
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John and this is Matt, and we're actually back doing a game review for the first time in a while, and we're going to be talking about Grand Theft Auto, the Definitive Edition, or the Remastered Trilogy that came out on November 11th, 2021, and physically December 17th, 2021. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of video game reviews, film reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, tech reviews, we do them all here on the channel. Nothing helps out more than by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Matt wanted to jump in here because he actually is playing Vice City at this very moment. I wanted to tell you why he thinks that this got a very bad rap.
Alright, well, I want to start by saying I absolutely love these games. I mean, I have all the original stuff from PS2, Xbox, the other Xbox releases. I've been playing these games for years. I collected the strategy guides. I used the hell out of these things. And Grand Theft Auto was one of my favorite things to play as a kid, if not my favorite thing. I would say probably Grand Theft Auto and the wrestling games like Shut Your Mouth and Just Bring It were probably the games we played most, and you played a lot of NASCAR and Madden.
Yeah.
But growing up, Grand Theft Auto was a staple for us on the PS2, and that was one, like, we would trade in games here and there, but Grand Theft Auto was always safe from a trade-in. That was something, that was just comfort food, Grand Theft Auto. You can go around and play that game for hours and hours and hours and never get bored. And that was the case with me. I absolutely loved the game. And when the Remaster Trilogy was announced, I was ecstatic because I've wanted to replay these games for years, and sometimes going back to older games, it's just tough in the year we are now, where just games with the quality of life and the controls and all that stuff, they're very dated. They are. But they tried to put some new life into them, and it's not a remake, it's a remaster. There's a difference. So this is basically just a fresh coat of paint and there's a few little quality of life improvements, as like checkpoints and stuff like that, that they added. But when it first came out, it was, I wouldn't say broken. I think it got way harsher reviews and a lot of negative reviews when I don't think it really deserved all that. I mean, I'll give it, the rain was pretty hard to see. But other than that, like, you got to remember, these games are, 20-something years old?
So the way this worked is to explain exactly what happened. So this isn't Rockstar making the games.
No, it's Grove Street Games, I believe, was the company who did the remaster.
And they built on top of the engines that they used for Android and iOS. They basically took the remaster, took those engines that they had already built, and they built these remasters with updated graphics for the Series X, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, that whole thing, and re-released them with updated graphics.
I think it was on the Switch, too, right?
It was on the Switch, and the problem is that they pretty much got rushed to hit a release date. I think that's what affected them not being able to clean up the graphics, because like Matt said, the rain was my biggest problem.
But that's a lot of games suffer from that. Let's get that straight. Being rushed to release date, just because all the investors, they want to see the return on their project when these games, like...
Well, this was November and December releases. They wanted to hit the Christmas crowd.
Right, of course. And you see that more and more these days. Oh, just get it out, we'll patch it later. And it's a shitty fucking practice. But, you know what, this game didn't deserve that. And I want to defend this because, I mean, I came back to it, what is it, a year since it's been released almost?
Almost a year, yeah. It's like 10 months now.
And I've been in the mood to play Vice City. I played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas when it came to Game Pass when it came out. Because, as you see, I have the physical version here. So when this first came out, San Andreas came straight to Xbox Game Pass. And then the physical release, which I wanted, wasn't coming out until December.
December 17th.
So I was like, all right, you know what? I wanted to start with 3 and work my way up, but I ended up going in reverse. So now after a couple months ago, I finished San Andreas. Now I was like, all right, I'm ready to play another Grand Theft Auto. I jumped into Vice City, and I'm absolutely loving it. All the nostalgia, all the memories are coming back. I remember my way around the town. You know, I mean, is it dated still? Yeah, I mean, I'm having a little tough time with the guns. You know, it's a little hard to aim and shoot. But again, these games are 20-something years old. You know, this is a PS2 game, basically, is where it started. And for what we have here, this is definitely the best experience you can have with it, I think. You know, I haven't plugged in the PS2 in a very long time, but I really think this game deserves a better reputation than what it has.
I think the issue that really comes to for people is that because it is a remaster. It's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's just a remaster. So they're really just taking the engine that's already there.
Right.
And they're just polishing it up and shining it up. And one thing they did promote was the better aiming system, and I don't think it was. I think people were...
Well, San Andreas wasn't terrible.
No, I think
the Vice City's been tough, and I haven't jumped into 3 yet.
Would you say that most fans, not me and you, but like most fans were expecting like a Grand Theft Auto 5 kind of deal?
That's exactly what it was. They wanted... Which I also want.
Yeah.
But I know the difference between remake and reboot. So I understand, or remaster and remake. So this is a remaster. It's the same game, just they're going to pretty it up. That's all it is. It's not going to be Vice City in the Grand Theft Auto 5 engine. It's just not going to happen. You know, that's impossible. You know how much work that would take?
Yeah, look how long it's taken them to get us Grand Theft Auto 6. If we want that, and we're going to push Grand Theft Auto 6 to the side, we'll never get it. So.
But I feel like that was a big part of the issue with this, is people expected that. I mean, come on, you're getting 3 games for... It was $60. I'm sure... I haven't looked in a long time, but it's probably much cheaper. And it goes on sale all the time, I would assume. And you really think they're going to give you 3 full-length games for $60? They still have their hand out for Grand Theft Auto 5 today. No way that's going to happen.
Yeah, you had to taper your expectations. That's the thing. My expectations were exactly what we got, except for some graphical issues. I didn't expect more than just a polished-up version of the old games. And for me, that was enough, because just like you, I just wanted to go play those games that I haven't played in
And it makes
years.
them playable.
Yeah, because you want to at least modernize some things, like the checkpoints and the missions. That was a big one, because it used to suck.
That helps.
It was in San Andreas a little bit, but not in Vice City, and that was frustrating at the time, but it was of the time.
Right.
So, you know, you have to understand that. And yes, they gave you a little bit better shooting mechanics. Do you want to play the original Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City shooting mechanics? Because I don't. They were terrible.
Right.
But they were of the time.
They were. But also, again, like, not too many people have an old CRT TV in their house. And the only way you're going to get a close comparison to this is if you plug a PS2 or an original Xbox into a CRT TV. If you plug it into an HD TV, it's going to look like trash. So this lets you play on your modern console, on your modern TV, and it looks fine. You know, it obviously it doesn't look like GTA 5, it doesn't look like Forza, but again, you have to remember what it is. You can't expect GTA 5 and Forza and then be upset. This is still, at its heart, a PS2 game.
Yes, and that's it. And it's just getting ports. Were people's expectations too high? Definitely. But the price alone should have told you what you were going to eventually get.
Yeah. That's
$20 per game. So that should have told you, like, they didn't put all the effort in. I think what it is that we all want that effort put in.
Right.
I just don't see that happening. Did they mismarket it a little bit? Yes, they did. They kind of led people astray because they didn't show the original trailer until, like, a couple weeks before it was released.
Right.
So that was like, okay, people had these high expectations, and then they kind of came crashing back down to earth. But again, and me and Matt were both just not surprised. That's just what we were expecting. So we weren't as disappointed as everybody else.
Right. And as far as like the rain and a couple of I don't even remember what the other complaints
The
were.
smog in fucking San Andreas was not there. Because remember, when you played it on the PS2, to cover up the draw distance?
Right.
Yes.
So they fixed a lot of that stuff. They fixed a lot of the bugs, a lot of the bullshit issues. And it's very playable. I'm having a great time playing Vice City right now. And I'm actually excited to jump into GTA 3 right after that. Because, I love these games. These are a huge part of my childhood. And I'm having I haven't played a video since we started YouTube in January as of this recording. I haven't really played a video game since. And this is the first game I played, and I'm so happy while I'm playing. I'm having the best time playing Vice City. Because Vice City was probably always my favorite, and now, like, the older I get, the more nostalgic I feel for the 80s and the Miami Vice setting and all that stuff. I just absolutely love Vice City. I'm eating it up. I'm having a great time. I'm singing along to all the station, all the music on the radio stations.
I have a theory about people like me and you who were born in the very late 80s and very early 90s, in the sense that we weren't around for the 80s, but we have like a big nostalgic trip for it, hence all the movies and video games and shows all dedicated to the 80s, is that we all have an attachment to it. And when this game came out, this was like our introduction to a lot of 80s music,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of 80s movies, 80s style. And I think that Vice City is what helped us to fall in love with it, because just like you, Vice City's my favorite. I love playing it. I love riding around, listening to Eddie Money and Michael Jackson. Although I believe Michael Jackson was taken out of this. I don't think you can hear Billie Jean.
Yeah, I haven't heard Billie Jean.
Which
yet.
I believe was the first song you would hear right after you get dropped off at the lawyer's. After the lawyer drops you off.
I poke my head out of the gutter for 1 minute.
And fate shovels shit in my face.
Oh my God. Again, as you can see, we played Vice City.
R1, R2, L1, R2, left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up.
Yeah.
I will that's etched into my brain. People know the Konami code. I know the weapon codes for Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, and San Andreas.
I used to know the weapon. There was 3 different weapon codes.
If
you change the directionals, you would have different weapon sets. I think I would use the second or the third one, the one with the rocket launcher.
Left, down, right, up, left, down, right, down. I believe.
Something like
or
that.
Or right, up.
And then there was an armor cheat, the health,
the money. Oh, yeah. You can make the moon bigger if you shot at it.
Unfortunately, you can't use codes in this if you want to unlock achievements.
Which I don't care, so I've been using codes.
Oh, you've been using codes.
Oh, yeah, from the beginning. How many
not.
video games do I get to play? I'm not going to worry. I want to shoot somebody with my rocket launcher.
Right, yeah. I've been going for the achievements, and I'm having a great time. I might even go back and clean up some of the achievements in San Andreas, because San Andreas is also an amazing Grand Theft Auto. You know, that was the next step in the trilogy, and that was, in my opinion, the last great Grand Theft Auto. 4 was okay. 5 is good, you know, but the original trilogy, I think this is Grand Theft Auto for me.
Me too.
You know, the newer ones are okay. I played them all more than once. Not saying they're bad games. I know GTA 5 is always number 1 still today somehow. I'm not a GTA Online guy. I don't really like it.
This is where our age shows. It's like
I see the significance and I see why people love it, but it's just not for me. The story was pretty cool, but again, this original trilogy, this is where it's at. You know, I probably have 100 hours in each game from PS2, and then I'm dumping more hours into these. These are probably my most played games ever, next to like Gears of War. But what else can I say? This game is fantastic. I think you guys should really give it another shot, especially if you're around our age and you played these back in the day. This is something you should definitely pick up, because they fixed most of the mistakes, in my opinion. And if you don't have an old CRT and a PS2 and a copy of these games, this is probably the next best way to play it, is on your Series X, PS5, or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Just lower your expectations a little bit, and I promise you'll have a ton of fun. If you're just looking for a nostalgic trip from the early 2000s, I really think that this is the perfect way to do it, and believe me, you're going to have some fun just running around and listening to music. It's that simple, a little bit of simple fun. People sit around nowadays just playing games where you mow the lawn or you power wash your house.
Hey, power washing simulator is pretty fun.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying that for us, sometimes you just want to go get in your car and hit some red lights in freaking Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Just run some people over, go on a rampage.
It was a simpler time for us, and you know what? For us, it's really important, and we're really glad that this exists, and both me and Matt just want to get on here and tell you know what? Give it another try. If you didn't like this last year, you'll have some fun. But anyway, that'll do it for us on another episode of Let's Talk. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and you tell all your friends.